As a UMaine graduate, how was the journey getting to where you are now?
The journey,
What were your obstacles?
the obstacles, the journey. Um, I guess I could start off at when I got my inspiration to um, to apply into forestry school at UMaine. Um, I would have to say my father had a lot to do with that. Uh, the reason why he had a lot to do with inspiring the choice to work in the forestry industry was that he worked in the industry. And so, as we would have conversations on the phone as a child, um, he would always talk about forestry. So, that the word alone, forestry, stuck in my head, since a boy. And it just stuck with me. And of course, I loved the forest. So, um, it was just something that just always interested me, and I wanted to know more. And of course, when I went into forestry school at University of Maine, I I thought I knew what it was going to be like and what it entailed, and uh, I could tell you right now it was definitely not what I expected, uh, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just my perception of forestry was um, different than, um, I guess you could say, the classes I had to take, the high level, intense math courses that I had to take. Um, I guess I never really gave it consideration before even getting into forestry school. So once I found out that major required intense math, I sort of doubted getting into forestry. I almost backed out and wanted to do something else because I was intimidated by math. So, um, being a non traditional student and getting into school at the age of 29, that was challenging. Um, so, that's kind of where the inspiration came from. At first, when I graduated high school, I was a bit intimidated by um, chasing my dream because chasing your dream, that's a big deal, and sometimes intimidating, and sometimes it feels like it's unreachable, and it will always be a dream. But I think I needed to um, I guess you could say, get a little bit more age on my belt, um, you know to really, I guess you could say, to really appreciate what's at stake in life. At that age, I didn't have a degree in anything. And at that age, you kind of have to, get started with the career. And, you know, in hindsight, I wish I would have gone sooner to start this career. Just because I think, it's important to, you know, continue on with education right after high school if you're able to. Um, but then again, there's also what I understood was that, like, maybe it just wasn't the right time for me to enter forestry school right after high school. So um, the journey, like, it started at a young age as a child, as a boy, and I really didn't start pursuing it until the age of 29 and really got serious about it. So I mean, the journey was long. I mean, as a child, I loved the forest. I wanted to be in the forest. I just knew that as a kid, as a boy, I was always interested in the forest. there was always an attraction. There was always a connection with the forest, and it's just when you're a child or a kid loving the forest, and you get older and you like I said, time goes by and that dream is sitting right in front of you, and you can either say no or yes and embrace it and embrace the challenge and see if you can make it through. And of course, math, like I said earlier, was always a challenge, and that kind of was my barrier to sort of get over. So um, the barrier, the um, the maturation of being a man, um, I guess really needed to come to fruition first before taking on such a task, and I just wasn't there yet. At that age, in my 20s, to take on a monumental, major. It's not a major that you can just sort of breeze through. And I'm not disrespecting any other major at the University of Maine, but forestry is, I will say now, it's one of those majors where you have to be 1,000% committed to complete it. It's nothing. It's not a major you can just walk through. And I say walk through because there are some majors at the University of Maine where I feel like it would be a lot easier for me to accomplish. And that doesn't take anything away from those majors. I just knew forestry was going to be a challenge from the get-go, and I wanted to take it on and see if I could accomplish it. And so, just a lot of it was fear of success. A lot of it was fear of math, fear of failure, and the one ultimate thing, the most important thing of all, though, as far as my journey is concerned with forestry at the University of Maine, is that I had a son to support, and I wanted to give him a better life than I had, as a kid. And so that was the ultimate motivator for me to really start the journey, to complete it. And I actually talked about this a couple of days ago. Once I got midway through my classes, through my major, it was like I was committed then, because I had done so much work. And to quit at that point, to me, I considered, the point of no return. I had reached that point. The point of no return kind of means what I consider. It's like if I were to stop because I felt I couldn't do it, it would be a waste of all the work that I had done to get there. And so, that helped, having that, knowing that, and knowing that if I couldn't or chose not to follow through and finish my degree up, I'd be throwing away a lot of hard work. So midway through, when I got to that point, I knew there was no choice but to finish.
One more question I had, which you kind of answered halfway through, was what was your goals? Say, what kept you going, when stuff got rough, when you thought you were going to fail, things went down. What was your inspiration in those times?
My inspiration when it was the toughest times and I thought my major was impossible, I will be honest, there were some classes that broke me down to tears and frustration, because no matter how much I studied, there were some classes and some exams that I just couldn't achieve that awesome good grade that would reflect the amount of time I studied. And so when things were tough and getting through my major, the major motivator was it was almost like the last option. This was my final opportunity, and to pass on an opportunity to have, a tuition waiver, um, and that's a huge opportunity given to Native American students, and you got to take advantage of that, and that was a huge part of it. I wanted to show my community that it was possible, and I'm talking the Native community, that anybody, if you work hard enough, anybody can achieve, their goals from an academic standpoint, if that's the route they want to take with their future, for their careers. But the ultimate one was, I knew that I would regret it for the rest of my life if I did not finish my degree, and I would not have any peace with that, and it would be hard to live the rest of my life. It really would. It would really mentally, it would just stick with me. I think that the rest of my life, if I didn't finish my degree and my pursuit of a degree in forestry, and it was the ultimate challenge. I'm an artist. I like to create things with my hands, and so doing forestry and all the math that entails, it's out of my comfort zone, and it was just the ultimate challenge. It was, that was the attractive part of it. I wanted to see if I could do it. It was the ultimate test. To go out of your wheelhouse, to go out of and do something different that you're not good at, and master master your fears, overcome them. That was attractive to me, to prove to other people that whatever was thrown at me, I could do it, and I felt like I did it.